Are you an old man, still painfully addicted to video gaming, and you're looking for that next shooter, the shooter to relive the glory days, to rekindle the magic that has definitely been lost? You're a bit slower around the corners, you're not quite as quick to click on heads as you once were. You need something a bit more tactical, a little slower paced, something that kind of has a team involved so you can blame other people, not just yourself. You need something that's cool and hip and that people are playing, but not something so cool and so hip that children are playing it. What you need is the all-new Wardogs. That's right, people, in a rare twist. I'm not talking about Sniper Elite, I'm talking about a game called Wardogs, a game made for old men just like me. Hi there, my name is Slorgs, I'm 31 years old, a credible old man and a source of valuable intel information on the latest Wardogs alpha that I was invited to along with, for some reason, at least like 5,000 people. The game's looking pretty popular, if the alpha is to be believed, and so in a rare twist, I'm going to talk about it. I'm talking about it because I'm actually kind of loosely excited about this game, because it does actually appeal to the very rare demographic of people who are old and also would like first-person shooters. Who it definitely is not going to appeal to is the Battlefield players, who I think are probably the majority of the people looking for their new game. I don't think it's going to be this, guys, and I'm going to talk about it in more detail. Huge headshot there. What is it? Wardogs is it's a bloody first-person shooter, isn't it? The whole point of the game is that you are put on this earth to make money. That is your only reason to exist. It costs money to buy gear, and then you have to use that gear to make the money back. Now, the way you make the money back is by doing things that essentially are meant to help the team in some way, or help your team win the game. So on a kind of more broad stroke level, if you kill the enemy, you make money. If you kill your friendlies, you lose money, even if your friendlies have red markers over them, because one of the 3 teams is red and will put red markers over your friendlies that make you think they're enemies, but you're going to learn quite quickly they are in fact your friendlies, and that if you shoot them with a really nice shot in the head with a sniper rifle, you're going to lose like $2,000. Not ideal. So the money system is designed to reward you for doing positive actions within the game, and I think it's an interesting way of motivating players, and overall I think it does work. So the idea is that you're meant to capture, it's King of the Hill. It's basically King of the Hill. You're meant to sit in a circle. The more players you have in the circle, the more points you get. Essentially, if you have the most players in the circle, your points start ticking up for your team. There's also a small circle that moves within the circle that gets you kind of multiplier points for your team. And obviously the money also tracks with this. So if you are standing in the circle, you just get a passive income of like $160 or something like that. And if you're standing in the small circle, you get a giga passive income. So essentially you're incentivized to go and stand in the circle. This is obviously a King of the Hill game mode taken from Armor, a mod for Armor, which was quite successful. And I think they even ported this mod into Squad as well. There's a King of the Hill mod for Squad also that has the same kind of financial incentives. So the idea is you make money and then you go to base and you spend your money on not just things that you use in the game, but also unlocks that permanently unlock your character. So it costs a certain amount of money to build an AK with some attachments, and then it also costs money to buy a new backpack, and it also costs money to buy a new helmet and all this stuff. And over time, you accrue money in your bank account for your account, and then you're also spending money round to round. Now, overall, I think the economy system actually works quite well in this game, and obviously it's a different motivator to most games of this ilk. Most team-based games, or pseudo-realistic tactical games of this kind, they have a ticket system where your life is worth 1 or 2 tickets, and if you die, you lose your team tickets. If you kill the enemy, you lose the enemy team tickets. So you're kind of incentivized to kill the enemy and also revive your friendlies, but the incentives aren't as strong because those incentives are team-based. They benefit the team more than really yourself. And if you don't particularly care about winning or losing the game, then ticket counts don't really matter at all to you. So having a kind of personal financial incentive, having some kind of financial skin in the game, I think makes a strong incentive for actually doing things that are worth doing for your team in this game. This is, without a doubt, the only game I have ever played in my entire life where people actually fight for revives. People fight to revive you. I've never seen anything like it. If you're with a group of your friendlies, there are people who will run over and try to revive you. Other people will grief the system by dragging your body while your teammate is trying to revive you so that they can revive you instead by cancelling the revive animation. And then the other person will cancel the revive. So you're going to take a long time to get revived because people are fighting for the money that they get from reviving you. But it's undoubtable that there are a lot of people looking to revive you because there's a financial incentive. And you as the person down on the ground can actually incentivize people further by offering bribes. And so you can up the amount of money that you will pay to someone for them to revive you, which is an interesting mechanic. My one fear with the economy system before I played the game and now playing the game is still the same. I worry that if the game revolves purely around financial incentives, there is a problem potentially brewing about people just doing the things that create the most money over doing the things that's best for the team. At the moment in this alpha, I don't think people had enough time to really figure out a proper meta in terms of truly the most efficient thing to do in the game. But the game does have elements to the economy that outreach just playing the game. You know, they have like a black market kind of thing where you can buy gold. You can like invest your money in gold on a stock market that changes in value, and you can like build a business, and you can like sell guns in the game, like on the battlefield, and make money that way. Like you buy a stock of guns and then you sell them on the front line to people. Like that, there are incentives that to not playing the game that may be more financially lucrative than actually playing the game. Which I fear there's a potential that this game could devolve into every 60% of your team are not actually trying to capture an objective. They're trying to sell you a gun on the front line. You know, that is my fear. Whether that will come to fruition in the full game, I don't know. I haven't seen anyone talking about that. I do think it's an interesting mechanic. I do think if you're someone who is an old man and you're maybe more interested in this day and age, instead of even playing a first-person shooter, maybe you're more interested in running a business within a first-person shooter. It could be an option for you, and maybe that's what you want to do. Will it ruin the game? Remains to be seen. I don't know. Now, looking at the game from a pure gameplay standpoint, and I do think, despite the devs have made marketing videos saying that this game is more tactical and it's not just some arcadey sandbox, but a lot of the marketing, the actual just trailers, do make this seem like it's kind of like a Battlefield game. They really do. I mean, they've got like infantry vehicle combat, they've got helicopters, attack helicopters, transport, they got, you know, tanks and artillery and destructible environments and all this stuff, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but it makes it seem, I think to anyone who hasn't fully researched this game, like it's going to be a Battlefield game. I'm going to tell you, Battlefield players, this is not a Battlefield game. This is not a replacement for Battlefield 6. This isn't the promised lands you've been searching for. This is a team-based game, and I think the team-based elements of this game may be the death of it. If the devs stick to what they've made right now, I don't think this is going to be a mainstream success to the level of like a Battlefield release. I think it's probably going to have quite a strong pickup in the first couple weeks of launch. I'd be surprised if it kept players above like 20k. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying this is not quite as mainstream as maybe some people are making out. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of Battlefield players telling you that this game is incredible in the videos they're going to make. Just bear in mind, this is actually a team-based game. And I'll tell you, having played this game a fair few rounds now, you can tell the difference between if you're on a good team and you're on a bad team. Everything about this game wants you to play with other players. If you run off by yourself and die by yourself, you are going to have an absolutely terrible time. You lose a huge amount of money if you just buy some good gear, fly to the front line, die. You've lost like $4,000 or something just on kind of decent basic equipment. No one's coming to revive you if you're by yourself. And you've also got a pretty hefty walk back to base. I mean, all you can really do when you respawn, there's no respawning on the front line. You respawn all the way back at main base, and you have to make your way back to the front line in a pretty hefty traversal. I mean, you're going to use like, you can buy like a quad bike or a transport vehicle or a helicopter or something. Really, you're relying on transport pilots or on being able to, or on your team having set up a mobile spawn point somewhere near the front line, which has its own risks, like getting out and being immediately spawn killed by a team of players just standing outside your spawn point, farming you. So you are kind of at the mercy of your team. You can't really make any noticeable progress by yourself. You need to look at the map, see where your team are, and kind of just stand with them. And if they're doing something kind of dumb or useless, then you're just going to be doing something dumb and useless. But your ability to affect the game positively by yourself, I think, is pretty weak. I think this is one of those games that, much like Squad, which I think is actually fairly comparable, takes a lot of power away from the individual and puts it in the hands of the collective, which is why I call this an old man game, because I would say 99% of all first-person shooters made in the last 10 years, and the reason I'm not particularly excited about them, I don't get particularly interested in modern game releases, is because every single one of them, even the ones that purport to be slower paced games, all promote the individual. It's all about putting as much power into the individual as possible. It's about giving the individual the ability to do whatever they want, whenever they want, to be able to dominate. As like, if they're good at the game, you should be able to dominate everyone. You know, that's the that seems to be the dream of every single modern multiplayer game. And this game is not doing that. This game is definitely slower paced. It's not like a mill sim. You know, the shooting is very approachable and not particularly challenging, but at some points I would argue it's actually quite unsatisfying. I think the fact that you can walk up to a guy at point blank range and snipe him in the head and he's fine is a bit questionable. I don't know. I mean, this guy, this isn't the first time it's happened to me, but this guy definitely wasn't wearing a helmet and he definitely wasn't wearing body armor, and I definitely put a round directly in the side of his head and he was fine. I find things like that questionable, but that's a kind of micro problem. In an alpha, I think having micro problems are not much of a problem. I like the bones of this game. But do be warned, if you're expecting a fast-paced die respawn kind of game, you are going to be disappointed. This game is still a grind. Don't get it twisted, old men. I know you probably don't have enough time to grind out all of these modern games, and this game does have a little bit of a grind to it, which I was disappointed at. I kind of hoped in this game that everything would just cost a lot of money, but you would have everything. So if you wanted to come in day one and you wanted to just use a tank, and that's the thing you wanted to do, you could just pay a lot of money and use a tank. They don't let you do that. You have to level up your character, or depending on the thing you're trying to use, like if you want to use an attack helicopter, you have to level up helicopters first before you can use one, which I do find kind of frustrating, seeing as this game definitely is going to be tailored towards old men. I think it would be more valuable to not have any grind in there, because I found, as an old man with a job and a life and things I've got to do over the weekend, having to like grind to level 55 or whatever to use the artillery is, I mean, it's a burden. It's a burden, and I do this kind of semi-professionally. You know, we can't all be Jack Frags. I can't just commit my entire life to grinding a game every second of every day. You know, I got stuff to do. I think one serious weakness for this game, to be honest, I was a little shocked. I was a little shocked in this game by how the King of the Hill actually worked. I was kind of expecting, because they've got this incredible, massive map. The map is massive, okay? It's a really big map. But the circle is a tiny circle right in the middle every single time. You fight over the exact same things in the exact same place every single round. The circle does not move. It never goes anywhere. There's a smaller circle that moves within it, but the big circle, it doesn't go anywhere. Every round it's the same place. So you've got this massive map, and you use about 1% of it every single round, which I thought was strange. To be honest, I was kind of hoping that circle would be in different places, different rounds, and maybe that's something they're looking into or they're thinking about. To be honest, the way these towers were laid out, I'm feeling that's not what they're going for, which is a shame. It also seemed like the winning strategy was like talking about how this game is team-based. I was playing one round where the team was not good, and it was an absolutely terrible experience. Then I played another round where our team was stacked with like 13 guys from a single clan, from the PL clan. You probably see them on screen now. And the PL boys, at the start of every round, would load up 13 guys into a transport helicopter. They would fly to the middle tower in the circle. They would immediately build a forward operation base. They would fortify it like nothing you've ever seen, and then put a spawn point in the middle, and our entire team would just sit inside this forward base and just win the round for free. You just didn't have to do anything. You just sit in there and just the cap points go up. There's nothing the other teams can do. You're so well fortified. Attacking is, as always in most tactical or pseudo-realistic games, attacking is way harder than defending. And I do wonder whether this game would just devolve into just every team makes an immense base somewhere in the circle and all just sits in it. There is artillery that can do something about it, but I don't know. I think the bones of the game seem pretty strong. I think the exploitative nature of a gaming player base has not been fully considered in a lot of the elements of this game, and I do wonder whether they will be ironing those out or not. See, as an old man gamer, maybe you don't care that much. Maybe you just want to jump in and have a game that's a bit different. And I think if you're looking for something that is not bloody, you know, Apex Legends or Battlefield or Call of Duty, you might be happy to see a kind of somewhat realistic, somewhat arcadey mix kind of game where you can kind of do whatever you want and also you kind of can't do whatever you want, and where you can just play a bit slower and just have some fun chatting with random people. Like, this game has that in spades. And there really is financial reward to just being a guy who repairs a tank, or being a guy who just revives people, or, you know, being some guy who just flies helicopter transport from main base to the front. I mean, there's genuinely value in doing those things, and the game does reward those things, and that is obviously the biggest strength of this game. And then the next most comparable game I would link this to would be Armory Forger. Armory Forger, I think its greatest weakness is that it lacks direction. I think in Armory Forger, you have the same kind of you can do whatever you want kind of style, but there doesn't really feel like a reason to do any of the things that you're doing. Like, you don't seem to have any impact on the battle at all. You can kind of just walk around freely and shoot people if you want, or you can drive a transport or whatever, but you're not getting really rewarded in any real sense for it. It's just like you can just do it. But Wardogs has a bit more structure. There's a bit of actual objectives to it. There's a bit of a reason to do these random things that you might find yourself wanting to do. And the reason is money. And as long as they can actually maintain that economy system, I think that's pretty good. Now, I'm making this video because, I mean, I don't usually make this kind of thing. I'm just kind of genuinely more excited for this game than most games I've seen as of the last 5 to 10 years, especially in the multiplayer space. I think one of the biggest kind of selling points outside of the game is that, unlike all the games that you used to like Battlefield or Halo or Call of Duty, it doesn't seem like, at least at this stage, it doesn't seem like they're farming this game out for skins and microtransactions and battle passes, and it seems like they're just trying to make a game that they actually like. which is a very old school way of making video games. It's kind of crazy to think that making a game that the developers actually like and that might be good is an old way of making games, but there's really a dying art, really, especially in the multiplayer space. So there you go. If you wanted to know what's going on with Wardogs, you wanted to know what it was, you wanted to know if you should be excited as an old man, you're in luck. I think you should be. One to keep an eye on. I assume they've got some more marketing coming out. They're going to blast you with trailers and whatever. I'm sure they are. Keep your head on a swivel, I guess. Maybe good things to come. Rare good news in the wonderful world of modern life. This is just an honest review. If you did watch this and you're still listening, insane. Hello, Slorg superfan. I hope to see you in the next one, which will probably be nothing like this. So I'm shooting myself in the foot, really. Anyway, goodbye, probably, maybe forever. Goodbye.